mythological creatures are a tricky troop to categorize. Their stories often overlap in many different ways, but today, we're going to look at any that might have a grounding in actual real life and tackle them in a loose order ranging from those that are perhaps most possible, if still unlikely, to those that are least. First up is the Dorhu, a gigantic creature said to lurk around the smaller coastal islands of Ireland. Translated to mean waterhound, this aquatic half-dog, half-otter has supposedly been heard to release a terrifying screech across various lakes and the ocean. What's worse, though, is that if you visit the Conwall Cemetery in Ireland's County Leitrim, there's the grave and headstone of a woman supposedly killed by the Dorhu in the 18th century. It's said by some that the woman's corpse was found by her husband right as the creature was feasting upon it. This particular Dorhu was then slain by the recently made widower, according to legend, but others have been reported in the years since then. One of the most recent apparent sightings came in the year 2000 by an Irish artist and his wife. There's still no confirmed proof that this beast truly exists, but the local tales are mounting up and up. Next, another legendary aquatic creature, the bunyip, said to be a monstrous amphibian that dwells in some of the swampiest regions of South Australia. Reports of the exact appearance of the bunyip are varied. Some describe it as most resembling a hippo or an ox. Others claim it's more of a crocodile-emu hybrid of some kind, while some say it's actually humanoid. Whatever its appearance, though, the bunyip again seemingly loves to dine on humankind. So its story goes. It's said that if you wish to avoid being the bunyip's next victim, either stay away from Australian swamps or listen out closely for its signature booming roar before you decide to venture into them. Of course, there are various other theories as to what the bunyip might really be like some kind of massive bird or deadly reptile. But could it yet be an undiscovered species among Australia's famously varied wildlife? But for now, goodbye bunyip, hello chupacabra. Legend says the chupacabra is a skinny but fearsome creature, something like a wolf or hyena, but with a long row of devilish spikes lining its back. Supposedly weighing in at the size of a small bear, its diet of choice is unsuspecting livestock, with it being branded a lethal menace by many farmers. Unlike the Dorhu or the bunyip, chupacabras are seemingly all over as well. There have been reports that could be linked to them made across multiple continents of the world map, although they're most closely linked to Puerto Rico, where many domestic animals have allegedly been found dead, uneaten, but drained of blood, and blamed on the chupacabra. We know that something is devastating these regions, with many convinced that the chupacabra is lurking in the shadows, despite no confirmed evidence thus far. As an alternative, there's some argument that the belief in these vampire-like canines might really be caused by sightings of dogs or coyotes with mange, a gruesome-looking skin disease. Of all the mythological creatures out there, however, the Yeti, or abominable snowman, is easily one of the most well-known. A giant ape or bear-like being that supposedly prowls around the Himalayas. The most commonly cited evidence as to its existence are giant footsteps that have been seen in the snow on and around the mountains. The simplest counter-argument is that these markings could also have been created by large enough bears walking in a particular way. But for those who believe, that's just not the case. The Yeti myth has been circulating for hundreds of years. The indigenous Lepcha people of the Himalayan regions have even worshipped a glacier being that seemingly resembles today's descriptions of the abominable snowman. Unlike most of the other creatures in this video, The Yeti is often described as being harmless and misunderstood rather than malevolent and destructive. So if it is real, perhaps it's friend and not foe. Now though, from the heights of the Himalayas to the state of New Jersey, where the Jersey Devil supposedly dwells. Today, embedded in local folklore, this is an extremely strange-looking creature. Accounts are that it stands on two hooved, skinny legs, but also flies around with large bat-like wings, and also attacks its prey with savagely clawed hands at the end of short, scratching arms. An evolutionarily unlikely entity. It's believed to be very real by many New Jerseyans, given that it's said to have terrorized neighborhoods for centuries, destroying buildings and crops and killing animals. The most common origin story claims that the Jersey Devil was once the unlucky 13th child of a woman known as Jane, or Mother Leeds. Arriving in the 1730s, some say the child was born human and transformed into the beast of legend shortly afterwards, while others maintain that it was a straight-up monster from the beginning. From here, we move to the top table of myth and legend, beginning with the Loch Ness Monster. Otherwise known as Nessie, this is the infamous and iconic large beast that's said to live in Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands. Seemingly similar in build to a more traditional dinosaur, Nessie has massive wing-like flippers at its side, a diplodocus-like long neck, and a series of apparent humps on its back. Perhaps more so than any other creature in today's video, it has reportedly been spotted a number of times, with the first photographic sightings dating back to the early 1930s, and the first written accounts all the way back to the mid-500s AD. As such, some believe the Loch Ness Monster might double up as the last remaining plesiosaur, a large aquatic reptilian dinosaur. Of course, many of the claimed photographs of Nessie have been explained away as either hoaxes or cases of mistaken identity. But what do you think? Finally, and if you've ever watched the Pirates of the Caribbean film series or taken an interest in any sailors' tales of the open sea, then you're probably familiar with the Kraken, another water-dwelling creature. As so many of the more possibly real creatures of legends seem to be, the Kraken is a giant cephalopod. Its story has again been told all over the world, although it's most closely linked to the myths and seas of Scandinavia, where it has reportedly caused the demise of countless boats and crew. This monster is said to be large and strong enough to wrap its tentacles around an entire ship, pull it under the water, never to be seen again. Apparently, the Kraken is so huge that some have mistaken it for an entire island or landmass as it looms on their horizon. The most common explanation for the origin of this myth is the giant squid, a huge and confirmed species that is known to be aggressive. But does the giant squid really correlate with the chaos that the Kraken is said to inflict? Some say no, it doesn't, and that there's still something else lurking below the waves. Something that, while it's unconfirmed by science, remains a very real and deadly threat. Arguably, all mythology is in some way inspired by real-life phenomena that we do already know about. But could that mean that sometimes we're all too quick to dismiss unlikely tales, replacing them instead with more recognizable forms? In these cases, that could be what's happening, because those are some mythological creatures that